Last up, we got board games. We already went over the announcements for the new games from Impatience and Korea board gaming company. So we've got Crowdfunding Corner here to round out our board game coverage for this episode of the podcast this week. Quite a few cool looking games in my opinion. Wanted to start with this one. It's called a Nice Cuppa. And it's a game from Button Shy Games. They do little card games that fit in a wallet, and their games usually have 18 cards. This one is in their solo series that they've been doing with the same designer named Scott Alms, who's done quite a few games. Food Chain Island is listed there. I have that one, Unsurmountable, and Fishing Lessons. Food Chain Island is probably my favorite of those. It's really great. So yeah, it's like a fun series. Solo card games, and this is one as well, where you're trying to make the perfect cup of coffee to help you like get rid of your worries for the day. And I think like the front of each card is a part of the coffee, or like adding milk or your favorite mug, and the back of the card is a worry that you might be worrying about. There's like a mini expansion, and you can also order their other games in this this campaign. They yeah, super cool company. I really like Button Shy. This series is really fun. If you're in America, you can get any number of games from this campaign, and the shipping is $5. It's like, I mean, they're obviously much smaller than a big board game because it's a little wallet with cards in it. But I mean, if you got quite a few of them, you're getting the discount from the campaign, and the shipping is only $5. So I don't know. I'm thinking about this one because I really like this series, and there's a couple games in this series I missed out on, like the Royal Limited, that I want to look at and maybe get as well, so that I can kind of complete this series. Really cool series. If you like a good card game that you can play by yourself in 15 minutes, that's kind of what this series is trying to do. And I think I haven't played every single one, but the ones I have played are really fun. So cool one here. That's a Nice Cuppa from Button Shy Games. Ends on September 7th. All right, next up is one called 23 Knives. This is a social deduction kind of manipulation game where each player has a secret role, which I'm generally not a fan of this type of game. Games like Secret Hitler, and I forget the name of the other one that everyone knows, but similar idea here. In this game, you'll either be playing as someone trying to kill Hitler, trying to save him, or I think there is a third role that's kind of in the middle. But it has a bit more of a board game going on, where you'll be like moving around the different spots on the board, and then you do an action based on where you move, and that action might be to play some cards in front of yourself or play some cards in front of another person. And I think you play those cards face down, and they can be like a sword that would help assassinate Julius Caesar, or they can be something else that would like remove swords. And then at the end of the round or the game, there's like a pile of cards, and you flip it over, and if there is a certain number of swords, then the assassins trying to kill Julius Caesar win. But if it's under that number, then the people trying to prevent it win. And if it happens like in a certain scenario, then the third role wins. It's supposed to be pretty good. For that type of game, I like that there's a little more structure and rigidity like around the social deduction, because that's some of the games like, Secret Hitler and stuff are very like, okay, you've got 2 minutes, talk everyone, figure out who it is, and then just whoever is the loudest in the room can just kind of like defeat the entire game and rule the conversation. So I like it when they have a lot more structure than that. So this one seems to have been performing pretty well. It ends on the 6th of September. So that is 23 Knives. If you like games like that, seemed like a cool idea. Next up is Norsemen. And I think my favorite part of this one is the cover. I think it's a really cool, artsy cover of like a Norse Viking ship. But other than that, this seems like a fairly kind of like medium weight Euro game where you're trying to. It looked like it had a little bit of push your luck, a little bit of deck building. You're putting workers out on cards as well to like go on voyages, and also to make your deck better. It's kind of cool Viking art. I don't know that I love it, but it looks solid enough. I forgot which company is making this one, but probably doesn't matter too much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one. I don't think the board like looks aesthetically like amazing, but it's like a pretty solid price. There's a lot in the box. It has some good previews from some reputable places, and it might be really good. I think I just need to do a little bit more research on it. It has a lot of different add-ons you can get too. You can get like the base version, which has all the gameplay in it, I believe. Then a version that replaces cardboard with wood, which I like that. One that has a playmat. One that has metal coins and other pieces. One that has like a really nice wooden insert. This would actually be a nice full circle moment. If you scroll down to that one, Devin, or on the left, you can click a place for everything, if you see those words. Up just a little bit in the rewards section. Up like half the page. Yeah, click that one. And you can see that one has kind of those wooden insert pieces that I was mentioning earlier. Kind of pricey to get that version. I think it's 30 euros more than the base game for that kind of a organizational structure. But I was just saying at the beginning of the show, I really value that because you can get the game out and organized much better. But if you have a 3D printer, you can generally do that kind of stuff yourself. So yeah, that's the Norsemen. Actually, it's just Norsemen. Medium weight Euro game, it seems. Check that one out if the theme is exciting to you. I want to see the combination of the mechanisms. I'll probably read the rulebook to do a little more digging on that one. That one ends September 10th and is on Gamefound, not on Kickstarter. All right, next up is Primates, and I thought this one, I don't know, it kind of looked unique. You're basically going through evolution and evolving some primates, and you can take different branching paths in how you evolve them. It's not a very complex game. It's like, seems like, again, kind of medium, maybe medium light, with some big fun like primate meeples, and you'll move your meeple up this like evolutionary tree that has branching paths, and you can choose which way you want to go. The cards look pretty cool. They're just kind of straightforward, but the price is pretty good. It's like $39, it seems, for the game. It has a lot of cards. They're saying the MSRP should be $65. Yeah, I guess we'll just trust them for now, but I don't know. It again, it doesn't look like amazing, but the cards look like simple and pretty easy to understand what is on them, and it seems like a fairly fun system. Click back up on, or click, I guess we haven't gotten there yet, on the gameplay category there. Yeah, here is that tree where you move your meeple kind of along those branching paths, and I think when you do that, you'll take different cards from the kind of at the end of that path to change your deck up a little bit. So I don't know. It could be really fun. It's the mechanisms they list here are open drafting and management, application of dice for movement, contract fulfillment, endgame bonuses, push your luck, and it does have a preview here from Grant's Game Rex, who I mentioned earlier. Really good channel, and the Game Boy Geek, who I like as well. So seems pretty solid. I'm excited to read a little bit more about it. Again, read the rulebook. hard to read all of the 9 rule books before the show starts, but looks intriguing. That's Primates. It ends on the 11th of September. Okay, next up is Hyve. This is a roll and write game. They call it a roll and color game in this here on the campaign. And I think it looks really, really cool. It's actually a little bit more complex than you would think. There's quite a bit going on, which I like in my roll and writes. I've played quite a few of these, and I have quite a few that are this print and play version where you get the files and you print them and either laminate them and use dry erase markers or use colored pencil or whatever. And this one is definitely a little bit heavier than some of the others, but I think it looks like a very fun puzzle. It has a solo mode as like the primary mode of play, which I don't mind in these because it just reminds me of Yahtzee, but more depth than something like that. But it also has a 2-player mode where you play on your sheet, they play on their sheet, and then there's a shared sheet in the middle with kind of these tug of war tracks where you're trying to do good on your board so that you can complete stuff on the middle board and kind of win those tracks against your opponent. So cool idea. They have the solo mode and that 2-player mode. In this game, 6s are wild, but the other dice, you assign them a color. Doesn't matter what color, but you just have to choose a color at the beginning. So in the example they give here, 1s are red, 2s are blue, 3s green, 4s purple, 5 is yellow. And then when you roll the dice, you get to roll a number up to the population of your bee colony, and then you can assign them to different areas of the colony. You can assign one to repurpose or re-roll some of your other dice, assign them to the bakery, and they have like an explanation about how bees actually eat something called bee bread. And so that's why this place is called the bakery, to get food for your beehive so that your population can go up. You can, so there's a bunch of different like departments in this beehive. You can tend your eggs or tend larvae. You can harvest nectar. This looks like a really awesome roll and write game in my opinion. And it's kind of a puzzle here. When you gather the nectar, it says any bees that you didn't assign to the other actions all gather nectar, but they gather it in their color. So they show here a 1, 3, and a 5 all being drawn in, but they have to be drawn in different colors. So you're trying to group those colors of nectar together because that will help give you some health points. And this game seems cool to me because a lot of solo games have just what you would call a beat your own high score mode. Like, yay, I got 50 points. Next time I play, I'll try to get more than 50. This one actually has a win and a lose state. If your health on your B track, which is tracked with a die at the top of the board, ever gets to 0, then you lose. Or if your or if your population ever gets to 0, or you don't have any bees left. And then there is a win condition. If you fill all 6 of your hives, survive a year, which is all 16 turns, or reach the end of the health point track. And so you can actually just win the game straight out. You're not just racing for points. I like a solo game that has a win and a lose state more than, yay, I got 50 points last time. I only got 48 this time. Did I win? I don't know. I don't know. I like a win and lose state in a solo game. It also has 6 different difficulty levels. So there's 2 different pledges. The $5 pledge is one of the sheets, the middle one, the like level 3 difficulty. The $9 pledge has all 6 difficulty levels and the 2-player version. Both versions it will be available in like the PDF sent to you pretty soon after the campaign ends. So they'll be delivering in September. So anyways, really cool looking roll and write in my opinion. This one is called Hyve, a colorful beehive simulator. I like how you get to color it in. That is a good feeling in a roll and write game where like, ooh, I colored in a block. Feels good. And this one will just look cool because you're coloring in 5 different colors. So yeah, that is Hyve, a colorful beehive simulator. It ends also on September 11th. All right, lots of games this week. Next up is Gnome Village. And this is a tile placement game, I believe. Trying to remember. But I think, yeah, if you hop out of that video just for a sec, the main thing, I think you flip over a tile on the board, and then I think you can place it in, or it looks like you flip a card actually, and that card might get you a tile that you can place in your own little gnome village. Then you can place little gnomes on the buildings in your village, and you get like income at certain points. Seems like a pretty simple like tile placement game, but I think it looks pretty solid. The artwork is all hand drawn. Some of these Kickstarter games, when you like click on them, you're like, wow, that game looks like it has cool like gameplay, but the art is definitely done by AI. And I hate that. A lot of these Kickstarters actually have a section on the left where like after shipping it will say use of AI, and they have to disclose that, yeah, we're using AI. So like I really like it when there's like a focus on, hey, all of this was handmade by like a person. So I thought the artwork looked really solid. The gameplay looks simple, but it looks pretty, puzzly in how you build your own little gnome village. I like the gnome meeples, and I think the different buildings do different things. And I don't remember the time frame, Devin. If you scroll up to the very top, it should tell us how many players and how long it takes to play. I was down just a tiny bit. I think I saw 3 big circles. Just a little bit more. There it is, 2 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes. And that's a fun time frame, in my opinion. That's a fairly like light game, just a step above something like King Domino. So I definitely want to check that one out again in more detail by reading the rulebook. But looks pretty cool. I think will you look at the price on the base pledge? I want to remember what that is. 42 US dollars, it looks like, plus whatever shipping is. And what's the other pledge that has the $5 more, has like a mini expansion with some meeples and some extra tiles, looks like. So not a terrible price. Hopefully shipping is not too high. That is always a bear with Kickstarter. But all right, that's Gnome Village. It ends on September 12th. All right, we got some big ones coming up next. This is Everdell Duo. Everdell is a hugely popular game. I think it's number like 20 or something on Board Game Geek's top games of all time. I owned it for a while. I actually sold it. I thought it was a really solid game, but I didn't ever love it. I feel like I have other worker placement games that I like better, but I'm very much in the minority there. Everdell is a huge deal in the board game space. This is a new version of Everdell, much smaller, called Everdell Duo, and it's a 2-player game. You can either play against each other, just like normal, kind of Everdell. You're building out your own little city and drafting tiles, I think putting out little workers on the cards you want to take, and you have to spend resources to get them. Or you can play cooperatively, and they have a campaign book, and you can go through 15 chapters of this Everdell story, and each chapter is like a scenario where you play, and you probably have to like either beat some high score or accomplish something before you can move on to the next scenario. Kind of a cool idea. That might be more of like the way that I like Everdell as like a cooperative experience. I don't love cooperative games, but that seems exciting to me for some reason. I think that version here on this campaign is also only $19, which is like seems really low for, they're saying it should be 35 and will be MSRP. Yeah, 19 in this campaign, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. They have a bunch of extra stuff that you can order, which are just add-ons for the regular Everdell. So you can get oversized cards for the regular Everdell, which they look cool because they're bigger, but you can kind of see there they don't fit on the board quite as well, so they had to include some extra cards at the bottom there in order to show the portions of the board that are covered by the bigger cards. So I don't know. I don't think that would be a big deal for me, but very, very pretty from, I think it's Starling Games. They do a lot of stuff here. My neighbor has this big one, the complete collection on the bottom right that has Everdell and every expansion in that giant box. And yeah, like I said, Everdell's a big deal. This is probably the hottest game in crowdfunding right now. But I think that the new, and yeah, they even have plushies and like puzzles and all kinds of stuff. But I think that new 2-player duo version is the part that's most exciting to me. All right, that one ends on September 12th as well. Okay, 2 more. We've got Lords of Heaven here. This is a very unique game. You play during the Crusades, and you can play as either the Christian Crusaders, or there's 4 different factions: the Sunni Seljuks, the Orthodox Christian Byzantine Empire, and the Shia Fatimid Caliphate. Basically 4 different factions all trying to kind of win this war game. But there's a bit more going on. You place buildings out like between different sections on the board. You have secret information like with how big your army is behind your own little player shield and other stuff like that. So I think a couple of the videos I watched did describe it as a area majority war game on the table. So there's quite a bit of conflict. I think you're only allowed to do a certain number of conflict actions in an age, but you're kind of building up in order to do that, to do conflict and have the most influence in areas. I think it looks pretty cool. It's a very unique and interesting theme. I think my struggle with this one is just that I have arcs coming, and it's much more interesting to me and seems somewhat comparable, where you're playing cards from your hand in order to do something, to like get influence or tax a city or move some people and then fight. And so arcs is just going to be that game for me for a while. So this one just doesn't have a place for David, but I think it does look pretty high quality. It is, it's on Gamefound, and it's been very hot on Board Game Geek. So if you like, a war game that isn't a coin like crazy war game, I think this one plays in like 90 minutes. So a bit shorter of a time frame. Got some like political intrigue as well with the conflict. Cool theme, like I mentioned, in the Crusades. I think it looks really solid. It also has a tabletop simulator mod if you want to try it out beforehand. So yeah, I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool, and I think it has a pretty solid price for the base level pledge. I think it was 49 euros. And again, they have like versions with metal coins and playmats, and just like almost all of these do. But the deluxe edition with the expansion and the wooden meeples is 49. You can get, I think you have to wait to get the basic version in retail later. But I don't know, that's not a bad price for like a big kind of longer game like that, but it's not delivering until March of 2026. I just saw that while we're here. That's a long time. Wow. Anyway, so take that into account, I guess, as the last thing we mentioned there. But that is Lords of Heaven ends on September 12th, and it's on Gamefound. And then last up, this is kind of like a much lighter kind of kids game. And when I saw this one first, just looking at that picture, Devin, I thought, oh boy, this is a game made by AI. Just because it kind of has that like glossy kind of look to it, but it's not. This is actually, I scrolled down and read about it, and it's like a very famous, like, I don't know if very famous is the right word, but a pretty well-known digital artist. So he does like art for, like, I didn't read much about him, but probably like TV shows, and he draws like on like an iPad and whatever else digital artists draw on, but like very, very impressive. So there's, it's all done by that dude. And so I thought it looked really cool from that way. And it's a more simple, kind of like light-hearted family game you could probably play with kids pretty easily. You have these dogs, and you're trying to have them be the best at the dog show. And you do that by either disciplining them, training them, grooming them. And how that works is the dogs are these big cards with, I think, 4 holes in the bottom. Yeah. And then those actions that you do, like train them or groom them, are little tokens that slot into those holes. It seems like a pretty lucky game. You're rolling these dice to determine which things you get, like training or grooming, and then you can slot them into different to the different dogs. And then once someone has completed all 3 of their dogs, then the round is over and all dogs go to the dog show. And I think you like roll some more dice and play some cards at the dog show, and all trying to have the dog that wins best of show. Pretty simple, light game. Even has a poop card here, so I think they kind of know that they're not trying to be like a heavy game here. Scroll up to the top, Devin. I just want to see. Yeah, and there's that artist, the digital artist guy. He's an Emmy-nominated designer named Mark. This game does have a time frame and an age, 2 to 5 players. Or I'm really surprised they don't have a time frame here. I thought I saw like 20 minutes, but maybe I am misremembering. Could be. Maybe it's in key features. Inclusive gameplay, planet friendly. They've got like a review from an 11-year-old. Yeah, 20 to 30 minute games, 2 to 5 players for 8+. And I don't know, it's a pretty like unique looking, what is that, a hexagon shaped board with cards around it, and the dog cards are kind of unique with those slotting pieces. I thought it looked kind of cool, to be honest. Again, not like a game for game night with like my adult friends, but probably a fun fun family game. So anyways, that is all of the games we're going to look at this week. I think that was 9. Yeah, 9 games. Devin, you always get first dibs on pick of the week. What is your pick of the week for crowdfunding corner here?
For the price point, the interaction of the game, and a little more strategy than a Nice Cuppa, I'm going to go with Hyve, a colorful beehive simulator.
Nice. Love it. That I did not think you were going to pick that one, to be honest.
Did you think I was going to pick Lords of Heaven?
I thought you were going to pick Everdell Duo, to be honest, but I could have seen it going anyway. To be honest, Hyve is my pick of the week as well. I've already backed it.
Oh, really?
Wow, look at me go. I think it looks... Chat. Yep. Good pick. I think it looks awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I sometimes like get sucked into like these roll and write games. I'm like, wow, that one looks awesome. And then it's like mediocre. But that one I read more about that one than I usually do with others. Like I was like hooked to like the how to play section. I think it looks really, really good. So that is my pick too. I think a lot of the games looked really good this week. A Nice Cuppa, like you mentioned, probably an excellent solo card game. I think Gnome Village looks like a fun little tile placement game. Everdell is humongous. It's going to do very well for $19 too. I think that's like an excellent price point for that. I might check it out just based on that, to be honest. And Lords of Heaven looks cool. That March 2026 date though is like, what? Kind of crazy. And this one is like a family weight kind of silly game. I want to watch a video or read the rule book, but it seems fun. But yeah, Hyve was mine as well. I'm surprised that you picked it. I thought I was going to be the one picking it. But hey, we got a double pick on Hyve, a colorful beehive simulator. So anyways, that's going to do it for this week's crowdfunding corner.